This episode of Starting the Conversation is sponsored by Ajaya Divine and her new book, Sister Sister, A Woman's Guide to Self-Worth, available at ajayadivine.com. And Bob Spotter, the premier mobile app for finding Black-owned businesses and Black professionals near you. Bob Spotter is available for free download in the Google Play, Apple App Store, and at bobspotter.com. That's BOBSPOTTER. bobspotter.com.
You know there's over 250 documented slave revolts in the United States alone? Over 250. So it's like the record that we have in the common people's consciousness is so limited. People are thinking that these were just isolated occurrences. The truth is that these weren't isolated events, but that rebellion was a daily occurrence.
Starting the conversation.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Ade All Day with Starting the Conversation, where I pose a question that may be serious, may be trivial, but it's always something worth talking about. Many of you guys may have known that we had a solar eclipse that went on today. I know here in Texas, went on between 11:40 a.m. and 12:30, or 11:40 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. earlier today. And actually today being August 21st was also the anniversary of the Nat Turner Rebellion, where our ancestor, our illustrious ancestor, the prophet Nat Turner, and a bunch of other enslaved Africans rebelled against slave masters and ended up killing about 57 people in their fight for freedom. It's something we should celebrate every year. And it also leads me to my question. The interesting fact is the fact that on the day of the rebellion, an eclipse had actually happened on that day as well, August 21st. Although I think they said the rebellion actually lasted from August 21st through the 31st. So for those 10 days, there was a lot going on, but it all sparked and started off on August 21st, Black August, as we like to call it. And so one of the things I was thinking about as an educator, being that this is also the first day of school for many people across the nation. I know out here in Texas, just about all of the schools out here started on the 21st. My children's school out in California started today. So you've got, an eclipse that happened today. You've got the first day of school, and then you also have the anniversary of the Nat Turner Rebellion, where enslaved Africans took it upon themselves to fight for their freedom. And it made me think about the lack of information that we get about these slave rebellions when we're coming up in K through 12 education. I was thinking about, did I ever learn about the Nat Turner or any other slave rebellions when I was a kid growing up in school? And my answer to that is no. I do not remember. I learned plenty about the civil rights, era, the 60s and all of that good stuff when Martin Luther King was around. Learned a little bit about Malcolm X, but that was mainly from, the movie and from my mother and father, as opposed to learning about Malcolm X from school. But it made me think about, the lack of information that's given to our children about these slave rebellions. We always learn about slavery and how, it's almost painted as if we came over here willingly and, thank God that we were brought to America. The narrative as it's shown and socialized to our kids, a lot different from what actually happened in history. There were many, many, many slave rebellions. And this is what I learned later on in life. It wasn't like we just got off the boat and willingly went into servitude. There's a lot of people that fought. You had the Amistad Rebellion, where many the slave owners were thrown overboard, over the board on the ship. Many have seen the movie, so that was one that was actually documented in the movie. But it wasn't taught in school. And none of these rebellions, the Stono Rebellion, Cato's Conspiracy, the Stono Rebellion of 1739, the New York Conspiracy of 1741, Gloucester County had a rebellion in 1663. The Slave Rebellion at St. John the Baptist Parish in 1811 in Louisiana. Fort Blunt, Denmark Vesey's uprising. There are many, many, many examples of rebellion that were started and maintained and helmed by Africans, by enslaved Africans. And it made me think about how not knowing about that information can affect our children. I mean, if all we learn about is the willing slaves, that came over here, got off the boat and got to work without any problems, and are waiting to be freed by, our white saviors, I think that socializes us to depend on them to solve our problems. It doesn't give us the complete story. And so my question to you guys is this: do you think these slave rebellions should be taught in K through 12 schools? Do you think these rebellions by these enslaved Africans, our ancestors, should they be taught in schools? Also, there's a whole group of people called the Maroons, which I study intently. The Maroons, which were all people who, although they were kidnapped from the continent, were never enslaved because they either escaped as soon as they got off the boat, fought, killed, and scraped so that they could establish their own communities here in America and all around the world. You've got examples such as Zumbi do Palmares, which was in Brazil, and Ganga Zumba. You've got the Gullah people in South Carolina. You've got Gaspar Yanga in Veracruz, Mexico. Matter of fact, Yanga, Mexico is still named after this man to this day because they had to sign a treaty with him because they couldn't defeat him. The Spanish could not defeat Gaspar Yanga and his band of Africans that were fighting for freedom and liberty out there in Mexico. And so they essentially gave up and gave him the land. There's a lot of stories revolving around Maroons that we don't know about. I didn't learn about any of this until after I got out of high school and did research for myself, but I realized that we're being cheated. And so my question to you guys is, should these slave rebellions be taught in K through 12 schools? Of course, you know my opinion. Of course, I believe they should. If you believe that they should not, because, I don't know, maybe because they were violent, because they had to be, okay. Yes, white people were killed, slave masters were killed in these uprisings and fights for liberty. Should they be taught in school? Should our kids get the full realm of education with regards to what were going on with their people when they were brought to the shores of America? What do you think? Chime in. On Facebook, you can type in RP Entertainment, the first word, radio, the second word. On Twitter, you can type in RPEntRequestline to find the post. Leave your thoughts. Do you think these rebellions and do you think the Maroons should be taught in K through 12 schools? Yes, no, why, or why not? All right. You can also leave music requests and dedications. We'll take care of those for you because we take care of those 24/7 here at RP Entertainment Radio, all right? Don't forget the daily show starting with Stephanie Marie's Porch Talk at 8 a.m. At 12 p.m., we've got Miss Shawn with her Real Talk sessions, all time Central Standard Time, of course. At 7 p.m. every Wednesday, DJ Shablast comes through with the DJ mix. And every Friday at 10 p.m., DJ Yo Daddy comes through with the lit mix. Then we close the week out every Sunday with Slow Jam Sundays from 10 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. with the first 2 hours hosted by your man, All Mills. And of course, you can find me here at the same black time on the same black channel, RP Entertainment Radio, every day at 6 p.m., starting the conversation, all right? Again, the question of the day is, should the slave rebellions of the past, the many slave rebellions of the past, and the Maroons, the Maroon people, be taught in K through 12 schools? Should they be taught? Should our children know about these slave rebellions? Should our children know about the Maroons that were never enslaved when they got here because they escaped and established their own communities, many of which still exist to this day? All right? Go ahead and leave us your thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed that eclipse. Hope you didn't stare at it without glasses and have black spots all in your eyes. But either way it goes, please enjoy the rest of your night. And until tomorrow, I will see ya.